Most of Week 11 is in the books, and it started back on Thursday with an AFC North clash between the Bengals and Ravens. We might as well address the injuries first, and with Joe Burrow out for the year, and with how many injuries big players across the league have sustained this year, I really think we're going to see a big reaction to this offseason from front offices around the league. I know the Bengals have to say we believe in Jake Browning and everything along these lines, but my big takeaway from this game, and this applies to the 2023 regular season too, is I think there's going to be an adjustment with the quarterback salary cap at some point. Cincinnati is effectively done, and that's the big takeaway. That's really the only takeaway I think you can have from this game for the Bengals. And Baltimore didn't come out of this game healthy either. They lost star tight end Mark Andrews for the year, and like we hear seemingly every year with the Ravens, they need to get healthy. They play just one game between now and December 10th, so there is quite a bit of time to get healthy for those players dealing with nagging injuries. The Ravens have allowed 25 or more points just once in the entire 2023 season, and I still believe they are going to be a problem for other AFC teams moving forward, barring severe injuries, of course. And on to Sunday for the Titans-Jags game, and for Tennessee, I feel like we're saying the same thing again, and it's that they are a very bad football team, and it shows every week. Since the Will Levis game against the Falcons, they have put up a total of 36 points in 3 games and have given up 74 points. They have back-to-back double-digit losses, and my takeaway is they need one of 2 players in the 2024 draft, and that's Olu Fashanu from Penn State or Joe Alt from Notre Dame. Taylor Lewan is long gone, and they've paid the price over the past few years. They have virtually no offensive line outside of Peter Skoronski, and I wouldn't be surprised if the only game they win for the rest of the year is against Carolina next week. This is truly a bad football team. For Jacksonville, this was a big get-right game after a 31-point loss last week, and this was the most complete game they've played all year. I've had my concerns with the Jags, and still do, but for now, enjoy the big win over a division opponent, especially when it was do-or-die time in the brutal AFC, because they play Houston next week. And speaking of the Texans, we are on to Houston for Cardinals-Texans. Yes, we know Arizona isn't a good team, but they had several opportunities to win this game, and you can certainly argue they should have. Kyler missed some easy throws and ones he would certainly like back, but there was always going to be a rust period with him coming off the injury. I know Cardinals fans don't want to hear this, but this was the best case scenario. You lose, the Giants win, and the Packers win. Long term, this is a win, and we know they need DBs, and that's something they will certainly address this offseason. For Houston, they improved to 6-4, and CJ threw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the one to Tank Dell was absolutely insane. Yes, he threw 3 interceptions, and it is important to remember he is a rookie, but guys, the game against the Jags next week is for the division lead. I was worried about a fall-off game after the Bengals win, and it almost was, but the Texans are 6-4 through 10 games, and that's a huge win in itself. From Houston to Charlotte to discuss Cowboys-Panthers, and for Dallas, this is how a lot of their wins have happened in 2023. They beat up the Giants twice, they smoked the Patriots, they manhandled the Jets, and now they beat the Panthers by 23. And I know that comes off as dismissive of their accomplishments, but it's really not. A lot of teams struggle to put away bad teams, and Dallas jumps on bad teams repeatedly, minus the Josh Dobbs Cardinals game. But that's a lot easier said than done. I don't think they're Super Bowl champions because they beat the 1-9 Panthers, but this is nothing short of a confidence booster, and Deron Bland is having himself a year. For Carolina, Jay Glazer reported Frank Reich's seat is hot, and it should be. This is an absolute embarrassment every Sunday. Here's a challenge. Name something good from this season for the Panthers. Your number 1 overall pick was sacked 7 times in this game and couldn't throw for 125 yards. This situation stinks all the way around, and I dove into this in a video last week if you want to check it out at the end, and every point still stands. This team is awful from top to bottom. Up to Landover for Tommy DeVito and Sam Howell, and the Giants won their 3rd game of the year, and they managed to win by double digits. Admittedly, I didn't think that would happen, and Tommy DeVito now has more career games than Kenny Pickett with multiple passing touchdowns. And Giants fans know this win stinks in the long run because of potentially winning yourself out of Caleb Williams or Drake May, but in the moment this win was solid. The team actually looked good, or as good as they can, and put up 31 points on the road. And touchdown Tommy is probably going to enjoy some fresh gabagool when they get back to North Jersey. For the Commanders, this is pretty simple. Ron Rivera is a fired coach coaching, and who knows if that's going to last to the end of the season. But you just lost at home by 2 touchdowns to a team drafting in the top 5, and you're not going to win many games when you have 6 turnovers, period. Whether it's the Giants or whoever, that's an insane stat to fathom. 6 turnovers and a double-digit loss to Tommy DeVito is the Commanders game summarized, and Ron is out at the end of the year. Down to Miami for Raiders-Dolphins, and I didn't think the Raiders would win this game, but I want to credit them and Antonio Pierce for never backing down. Holding the Dolphins to 20 points in their stadium when they were averaging 43.5 points per game at home this season with this roster is an accomplishment in itself. My big takeaway is I want Antonio Pierce to be the head coach. Take the interim tag off. I wanted to see how they would do against a team that's not led by half a game of Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito and Zach Wilson, and for the talent they have, I thought the Raiders played well. That's the big takeaway for Las Vegas. Now, for Miami, a win is a win off the bye, and it's good to improve to 7-3. And quietly, I think this defense is improving by the week, and in the last 3 games, they've allowed a total of 51 points. I really want to see the Dolphins beat a good team, meaning a playoff team, and obviously they can't control their schedule, but they are quietly improving defensively, and that's huge. And a big shout out to Jalen Ramsey. From Miami to Green Bay for Chargers-Packers, and there's 2 big things with the Chargers, one of which is recurring. The recurring observation from this game was they got shredded defensively, again, and this time it was by Jordan Love, whose leading receiver was Dontavian Wicks. The other is there's legit reasons to have concerns with wide receiver Quentin Johnston. The drop at the end was his rookie season summed up in one play. Everyone loves getting their jokes and chips in about Justin Herbert's record, but is he supposed to catch that ball for Quentin? Is he supposed to play defense? We all feel the same way about Brandon Staley and have for months. For Green Bay, Jordan Love played a good game, and he deserved to win this game. There's fans that want their teams to lose for a better draft pick, but I think seeing your hopeful quarterback of the future play well in a game like this to bring you back to 4-6 and build confidence is more important than the draft in 6 months. This was the type of game Jordan Love fans have been waiting all year for. Down to Cleveland for Steelers-Browns, and Jaylen Warren played a great game, and I think he should be the starting running back for this team moving forward, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that, as he had over 140 total yards in this game, including a 74-yard touchdown. But the positives offensively stop there. Kenny is a problem, and the Tommy DeVito stat is laughable, and Kenny finished this game with 106 passing yards. That's it. He doesn't read the field well, the offensive scheme is a problem, and for the 10th time this year, they were outgained by the opponent. This time, the opponent was led by Dorian Thompson-Robinson. For Cleveland, and this also applies to Pittsburgh, by the way, this was a peak AFC North win. The teams combined were 7 of 31 on 3rd down, but Browns fans have been vocal about me not showing them love, and I do want to say, this defense is one of the best in all of football. The Browns have now beat every division opponent this year, and this was huge for DTR after the previous start he had against the Ravens. Cleveland's next 2 opponents are Denver and the Rams, and they can be 9-3 through 12 games. Up around Lake Erie to Detroit for the Bears and Lions, and guys, this was a game Chicago should have won. They held the ball for over 40 minutes of this game, they ran for over 180 yards, and won the turnover battle 4-1. There's not many games in NFL history you lose with this type of domination, and I tweeted after Jared Goff threw his 3rd interception of the day that Jared Goff single-handedly lost this game, and there was also a dropped pick 6 in this game that didn't happen. I was absolutely flamed on Twitter after the game by Lions fans, who, by the way, didn't flame me when the tweet was sent, but only after they came back and won. Congratulations on the win, and I will say good teams find ways to win, and there's probably a reason Matt Eberflus will be canned after this year. But if you are a Lions fan, how do you leave this game without major concerns moving forward? I think they will win on Thursday against Green Bay, but I do have concerns with this team moving forward, and especially when they go on the road to play a team like Philly. This was a big comeback win for Detroit, but I also think it's fair to say against a playoff team, they more than lose this game. Out to the Bay Area for Bucs 49ers, and this type of game for Tampa is about what I expected when they play good teams. They got beat by double digits by the Eagles and Lions, and they did in Week 11 too. They played this game closer than they did against Philly or Detroit despite the final score, but it was the same result. They're 4-6 on the year, and they have an easy schedule moving forward, and believe it or not, I wouldn't be surprised if this team wins 9 or 10 games. And if in this scenario they do and win the NFC South, this will pretty much be what happens in the wild card round. For the 49ers, they're all the way back. Brock Purdy had a perfect passer rating in this game and threw 3 touchdowns to just 4 incompletions. They've played 2 games since their Week 9 bye, and they've outscored the Jags and now the Bucks with a combined score of 61-17. Unfortunately, Talanoa Hufanga is feared to have torn his ACL, and for every player, not just him, we obviously wish them a safe recovery and best wishes moving forward. The 49ers play the Seahawks on Thanksgiving night, and this is a game I am very much looking forward to. San Francisco ran for over 150 yards in each of the 3 games they played against them in 2022, and this will be a substantial test for Seattle, especially after a tough loss to the Rams. And with that, we are down to LA for the Seahawks and Rams, and this was a very tough loss for Seattle. They lost to a Rams team that will probably be picking in the top 10 of the 2024 NFL Draft, and in a game where they failed to put up 17 points. Seattle is undefeated in 2023 when they put up 20 or more points, and defeated when they fail to reach that number. The end of the game in particular was very frustrating as they completed a deep ball to DK Metcalf and seemingly had all the momentum with the ball on the Rams' 40-yard line. They had no timeouts and opted to run the ball up the middle for 2 yards, then attempted a 55-yard field goal. I, like a lot of Seahawks fans, would have preferred them to try and get 10 or 15 more yards, for a shorter field goal attempt. But that's how the game ended. And I worry they'll fall to 6-5 on Thanksgiving, and what's crazy is they'll probably fall from 6-3 to 6-5 in a span of 4 days. For the Rams, this was a season sweep of the Seahawks in a game that, heading in, I thought the Seahawks were going to win and effectively get their revenge from Week 1. They play the Cardinals next week, and there is a real chance this team is 5-6 through 11 games, and they can realistically go from 3-6 to 5-6 and be in the hunt. I don't think they're going to do anything this year personally, but hell, Rams fans, enjoy the win and the season sweep. Now to Western New York for Jets-Bills, and what we said about the Bengals back in the first recap with teams spending more on backup quarterbacks this offseason most definitely applies to the Jets, and this game was an encapsulation of this. The Jets quarterbacks combined were 14 of 29 for 118 yards with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. We did a 2021 NFL draft class review recently, and I feel bad for Zach Wilson at this point. The Jets know he's not the guy, the opposing teams know he's not the guy, and he gets put out there every single week. The Jets are done because their formula for winning games is to pray they don't make any mistakes and try to win an Iowa-style game and win 12-10 or 9-6 or really anything under 25 total points. I feel bad for the Jets players going through this season knowing there's no real hope of winning anything compared to what they thought heading into the year. For Buffalo, guys, this is the team that can make a playoff run. This team. Not the team against the Broncos or Patriots or any of the other losses. Hell, even the Jets game back in Week 1. New York didn't want anything to do with them, and it was evident in this game. And this was a huge confidence-building win because they play the Philadelphia Eagles next week. And I hope we get this Bills team against them because if we do, that will probably be one of the best games we'll get all year. I hope you enjoyed the recap, and if you did, please like and subscribe. It's only about 28% of people watching are subscribed, and it means the world. And until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.